So then the next speaker and the last speaker of today, we're very happy to have her because she's a very busy woman now also riding in and going out because she has a lot to do. She's a very renowned and internationally famous architect. She built this building here blocking our view, but she also did design the first building of, she was founder and at this moment director of Meccano. The first building that she did design and build is in the center of Rotterdam, and it was also the first building that we, as even, it wasn't the Rotterdam Rooftop days then, but the first rooftop I ever programmed was of the rooftop of the Kruisplein flats in the center of Rotterdam, which was the first Meccano building. So I have a very warm feeling about that. What do I can say more? One of the reasons I asked her is that she had made a lot of publicly accessible rooftop. I studied in Delft, and we had this rooftop with the grass landscape on it. And she made also in Birmingham, in Chicago, in New York, libraries with publicly accessible rooftops. And I think publicly accessible rooftops are very important. And we're very keen to hear her story. Can I get a warm welcome for Francine Houben? I'm very sorry it's that cold here, but that's what we do when we're on the roof. Yeah, no. So you're totally allowed because we would like to have you have a warm experience here with us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, first of all, I when Leon asked me to come, or I think we met each other, I said, because to be honest, I'm a big fan of the Rotterdamse Dakendagen and also all the times what you did on the roofs of Rotterdam, and I brought all my family and all my office. You have to see this. So I'm a big fan. So when you ask me, I say, I come. But for many reasons, maybe. Let me see, does this work? This is me, yeah. So of course, but at the same time, I think, what's a roof? Because I think you should not think too banal on it. So in a way, for me, let me reflect, of course, what you said with the library. You know, it's a roof, it's a landscape, it's a park. So I want to have a much more wider interpretation of what a roof is. And that's maybe something for you in the future. And of course, how it changes and deals with the changing of the seasons. Or even what you just mentioned, I realized, hey, come on, the very first roof terrace we made on the Kruisplein. But what for me was very crucial, I don't want them to make them on top of buildings. I want people to see it. So it was a very big decision of us not to put it on the bigger, highest part of the building, but on the in-between part, because then people can look at it. Because for me, the big risk, especially in the Netherlands, if you put things on top of your roof, nobody will ever go there or see it. And of course, in a way, for me, has been a theme always to make what I call, how should I call it in the Netherlands? Because everybody wants to be on street level, try to make as much street levels as possible in a building. Like these ones that we did, maybe, I don't know if you know this project, I think it's one of the most beautiful housing projects we did, to the double-deckers, to make different layers of, to stack public spaces. Or even what is it, the roof, is it the balcony? It's about connecting people. I want people to use it. This is a project in Amsterdam we are doing. Or even this one, this is in Taiwan. What we do here is stacking, this is social housing, affordable housing in Taiwan, and we are stacking pieces of landscape as public spaces stacked on each other. And it's really, because again, I never want to put it some out of sight. I want to see people to use it, that it becomes a place where people meet. And of course, it's also the greening of the city. So this is on, I think this is on the 8th floor, for instance. But it's for me also, and that's what we did already for the Kruisplein. It's a community space. It's a shared space. It's a collective space. Just quickly, it's also, I realize I always try to use the roof. Like here in Boston, and we did this, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe. On top of this building, we made an amazing roof, what we made accessible as a public terrace, although it's a municipal building. But from that, you have, that's also the same here, you have amazing views. And this was in a neighborhood with a lot of poor people. And for them, it was so important to get on this is maybe on the 6th or 7th floor, I think, that they could look back to their neighborhood, what made them very proud. But again, I didn't put it on the highest level, I put it on an in-between level. Or here, this one, it's a building of Mies van der Rohe, so it's not in Chicago, but it's in Washington, because what is typical for the United States, they have what they call mechanical penthouses. Here we call it penthouses. It's very luxury. I live there. No, it's just for mechanics. And the roofs, they look like this. So I said, okay, but what is interesting again here, also on this level, all of Washington is a kind of 10 stories high. Our building was just 5 stories high. And we made this as a roof. But again, for me, it's like a pocket park in the city. And again, it's surrounded, because we are the only low building in the whole inner city area. It's like a pocket park. And again, people look at it. It's surrounded. Again, creating kind of stacked public space or stacked, I don't know the good word. Iedereen wil op de begane grond wonen, dus je moet heel veel begane gronden maken. Is that the Dutch way? Yes? That's my way. Also what I want to do with roofs. I want to play with I want to create many street levels. This is an amazing roof if you ever go there. And also that's why I go quick, really, I go wrong. Oh, this is back, yeah. Sorry, I'm a little bit, because it's just 20 minutes, I think I have to run. Is that true or not?
Take all the time you want.
Okay, yeah, but I have a car, but my car is parked there. And I'm not on the... but also it's a very important issue, because I totally agree with also Emile just told you, but it's very important how to get there. If you want to create this roof, and it's not just greening the city, what is extremely important, but it has a collective feeling, you should also have a journey to get there. And that's what we did in this building. It has the most beautiful stair we created in this building. It's a journey, and at the end you get to the roof. So it's also how to get there, but also how to make it visible. Otherwise, a lot of these roofs, especially also we have to realize here in Rotterdam, we are a low-dense city. So I also want people to have them on the street. So if I create a space like this, I have even never been here. Of course, it's nice, but it's not that public. So that's what we did. Nice, huh? It's just now selected as the best building of the United States, and we'll get an award in the White House next week. Woo! And it's a transformation. But also here what we did in New York, and again, then I come back to Rotterdam, because it's really a difference about what is high density and what is not high density. Maybe, as you know, we did the New York Public Library, not just this building, but also if you ever go to New York, also the building across. So I will talk about the building across. What was the building like? A department store that became, it is the same, almost the same age as the other building. A lot of people think they are from the same period. And what we did, because what I like, it's a Beaux-Arts area. In that area, had Beaux-Arts architecture. And Beaux-Arts architecture often has heads on the building. So I said, I make a wizard head, because it's a library, and put it on top of that building. And they're extremely proud of this, because also this is mid-Manhattan. And normally, roof terraces, like maybe also this one, it's just for the rich people. You know, you have to pay for it, or you have to drink. Here is the only roof accessible, with a nice stair also, and a way to get there, where everybody can go. It's really public. And of course, we did this in the Library of Birmingham. I'm also, again, reflecting on myself when you asked me to give a talk about roof. I always try to put them not on the highest point. I want that other people can look at it. Here we made 2 of them, really nice gardens. But for me, these gardens were also very educational. For this, again, this is a library. I wanted people, a lot of kids even don't know that an apple comes from a tree. Or I want to give them a whole garden of, the top garden is what we call the secret garden. What is not secret anymore, of course. But with hills and with all herbs. So people can smell the senses, of the different things. And of course, we even make, now that's almost finished, a building what is totally covered as one big roof is the Museum of Natural History in Abu Dhabi. But for me, to be honest, I want to talk about the big scale. Because that's also about roofs. This is in Kaohsiung. It's the harbor, it's the Rotterdam of Taiwan. It's the harbor city of Taiwan. And what they did, I have no clue if you can see the images. Can you see it or not?
Yeah.
But in a way, it's interesting. And then I come back to the Dakendagen, the Rotterdamse Dakendagen. It's interesting what they did. They put the railroad underground. The design, it's a subtropical city. So it's also thinking about the climate, what is the issue here in Rotterdam. And what we did, we made this whole linear park. We had it, the railroad track went underground. So that becomes a linear park in the city. And what we did is to make this linear park going up over the new railway station, making space underneath. This was a tropical space because here you have to protect from the rain and the sun. It can be very warm and very wet in Kaohsiung. And what we did, of course, testing the whole wind and getting natural ventilation, not air conditioning, everything. But here, this is interesting what we did. This is a very nice image here. It's now almost finished. So you see all this long line of this linear park. And we made an immense roof as a park. You can even bike over the railway station. The whole park continues. And this is now, look how nice. Rather impressive, isn't it? But that brings me to the Netherlands again. Because as I told you in the beginning, I want to think, hey, what's a roof? There are many more roofs. It's not just, on top of a building. And I totally agree. We have a big, big task here in Rotterdam, what Emile just said about what to do with all the flat roofs of not just the housing corporations. This whole issue is really also with the VVA's. I don't know what's the name for that. All the different ownership of every portiek. It's a big, big issue. And that also has to do with laws and I don't know. But it's extremely important to take that part, what Emile said, to solve that. But again, this is the spoorzone in Dordrecht, where you have this railroad, not a railroad, it's just connecting Zwijndrecht with Dordrecht, what we want to connect as a green park, linear park, connecting the two cities. Is it a roof? What is it? Or even, of course, maybe a lot of you know my idea about the Rotterdamse Dakendagen. I also want to organize the Rotterdamse Dakendagen. Dijkdays, is that a word? Yes? Yeah. So I want to introduce, and I hope Leon will help me a little bit with his organization about that idea. Because it's extremely interesting. Because is a dike is maybe also a roof. And look at this map, how many dikes we have in Rotterdam. And how there are barriers in our city, especially in the southern part of Rotterdam. And they are blocking things. What can we do with them? And I came up with this idea to make a 15-kilometer long dike park in Rotterdam. And I'm very serious about this. So we continue with that. And for me, it's very important. I can talk a whole hour about this. But for me, also the dike made the barrier between the harbors and the people who live, and the people who work in the harbor, and the people who live in the neighborhoods. So I want similar like what we did in, I don't know if you know our plans for what we did in the park in Delft. I want that the dike becomes not a barrier, but a big, big connector between people. And that is very needed, not just for the people, but it's also for heat stress, it's for biodiversity, is bringing a much more positive feeling and introduction to all the workload in the harbor and the businesses that are in the harbor that also need good people. And I want to connect them with the people who have maybe no jobs, who live in, for instance, in Rotterdam South. So, and also to think about, here it's also about ownership. It's not just the roofs of buildings, but there's a lot of more ownership and legal issues about this. And how can we change that and how that may come true? So we made a lot of ideas about how we can make this dike as a linear park, a dike park in it. we started to come up, was very near here, where was it? Over there, I think. We had this in the Architectuurmaand in the Maasilo, big discussions with all people. How can we make this dike park coming through? We had ideas of how people could, what ideas they wanted to have with that. And we have a whole plan how we are talking about a lot of Rotterdam becomes one like a nature park, and that the dikes play a very important role in this. We're talking to the Hollandse Delta, so it's the water. Laten we eens even kijken. Water Authority, hè? Ja. De Hoogheemraadschap, ja? And we're talking to the harbor, and so we want to create this big park, and we want to make an event of this. So in September, we're also talking with the Honey Highway. So we also want to kind of, I think you did such a great job in like walking over all the roofs, or what you're doing now, what you're organizing. I think it's such an eye opener to the city. I'm very much from a bottom up urban planning, and also all the ideas that you are sharing here. So I would love to work together. We made a whole plan how we want to organize it. So the first Dakendag, it will be very small maybe, but it's a start, will be in September. So I hope you will all join and help us. It's bottom up. And Leon, I hope you will help me a little bit. Yeah. And what is a roof?
Yeah. I think that's a great question. The thing I always have to convince people that we not have to go to the highest roof, because that's not that interesting. Then you can go to the Euromast, you have a great view, but the nicest experience is indeed being on a rooftop in between buildings, which I like. What the question? And I want to help you. Let's that be said. And the other thing, what I find because a lot of people who want public rooftops, and you said it was really nice that it was not only for rich people, it was accessible for everybody, and we can make nice stairs. But a lot of project developers I speak to, they say it's way too much hassle. All those people going into my building, don't have no control over them. And you are sitting there, you're making the building, you say, no, we want to make this public, accessible for everybody. And they say, no, that's a lot of hassle. What do you say?
We didn't make it for. It depends of the developer. But
Yeah.
for instance, what was maybe the biggest thing was the Boston municipal offices, but was for educational municipal offices. So there was a kind of way that we could make it public, and that also on that level, again, not on the highest level, but on the in-between level. And that we combined it with programming, that we had their kind of meeting spaces and a small exhibition. So you also have to think in a logic way how you program, what you program on the lower ground floor, the ground floor, and the mezzanine level. All these also there you want to have many levels. But then you make a connection to go, for instance, to the 5th level. But it makes people very proud of their own city.
Yeah, I think so too. So you say it's a part of a larger programming thing.
Yeah. You have to think how you stack program in your functions in your building.
Okay. Well, can I have a big hand of applause for Francine Houben?
Yeah.